Hey guys, it's Adam here, and hey, look, I'm on tour. I'm out in Los Angeles for E3. I just got back from the Bethesda conference. I've been to the Xbox conference as well today. If you saw, hopefully you already saw my Xbox conference discussion, review, what have you video. Basically, all we're going to be doing here again is talking about the Bethesda conference and what I thought of the games and all that kind of stuff. Talk about a little bit about the experience. You'll notice that, first of all, I apologize again because I know the last few videos in a row have all been like this, where I'm just kind of on site somewhere, filming something very quickly. These are a little bit improved though because this is really weird, but I got just a free little random tripod thing that is currently sitting here on a chair and is holding the camera in place. So that was very, very cool. So hopefully that helps things out a bit. But yes, so like I said, I already did a video on the Xbox conference. Feel free to watch that. I'll be doing one on the Ubisoft conference as well. But yeah, so we're just going to go over my little post-it notes of information about the game and talk a bit about it, or about the conference, sorry. Yeah, so I was invited by Bethesda to attend their conference, which was cool. I got to go to that last year as well. So that was nice. Yeah, so I went to the conference, which was like 2 miles away, which was kind of annoying. It was in a completely different theater than it had been last year, but whatever. So walked the 2 miles. Not like I can't afford to lose the weight, but it's fucking hot out, so that sucked. But anyway, Bethesda didn't do the greatest job of like organizing that. So like when I got there, there's a little bit of confusion about like what line you're supposed to go to and that type of thing. But whatever, it's all good. I got in. Then when you get in, there's supposed to be assigned seating, but they don't tell you that. So you have to find that out later. I found that out later, and then it was like, okay, cool. So now I have to go back to the front and like just find someone who's giving away these like random tickets that are seats. Which I don't know how many people actually honored these because it seemed like nobody really gave a crap. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're here to talk about the games. And then the after party where I got just this little random drink cozy thing. But anyway, cool. Yeah, so the games. The first thing that happened was they played this video where they talked about, a lot of their employees were there talking about how it's the fan base that makes Bethesda what is Bethesda, make it successful and all that kind of stuff. And it felt like an apology video for everything that happened with Fallout 76, although they didn't really say that outright, but that's the way it felt to me. And that, if I had to say anything, I'd say that's kind of the theme of the whole thing, was that it was just, we're sorry about that one, and we care about you guys, and we're working harder to make up for our mistakes. Which, accept it or don't. I personally was not burned by Fallout 76, so I certainly don't hold a grudge over it. And they tried to own that because I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit and then come back. They went on later to talk a lot about Fallout 76 and talk about all the new content they're doing for it, which is apparently all free if you already have Fallout 76. I think it's Wastelander and Nuclear Winter, which are two completely new expansions that will be coming to the game. And watching it, I could see a lot of people were super excited about that because they were trying to bring back essentially what everybody liked about Fallout and integrate it into Fallout 76. NPCs with character dialogue trees and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of new content and everything. And they're calling it Fallout 76 Year 2, so a lot of new content free to anyone who already has Fallout 76, which was another theme they were doing, is a lot of their stuff was just free. It was just free expansions for stuff that already exists. So yeah, because I haven't really done much with Fallout 76, it's hard for me to say much else beyond that. But if you liked that game, it's going to get better, and if you didn't like that, it's still going to get better. So hopefully there's something there for you now. They talked a lot about Elder Scrolls Blades, and they said basically there's going to be a whole lot of updates for that game, which I had played last year at E3. It's a mobile game, but it's also now coming to at least the Nintendo Switch, which makes sense because it's very portable and it has a touchscreen and all that kind of stuff. It will actually be free on Switch as well. So if you ever wanted to play Elder Scrolls Blades, you now have that option on Nintendo Switch, or at least you will very soon. I think it might be available now. I don't remember. But none of that was really for me. I wanted to see what kind of new stuff they were going to put, not just updates for things. And this one was pretty cool. They announced this game called Ghostwire Tokyo. Now it kind of looked like, it was Tokyo, and then it looked like Thanos did his thing and just got rid of everybody. So it was a very intriguing trailer, very intriguing concept, very charming intro by a couple of Japanese developers who were super excited to be there, especially the woman who was there. She was very like, so that was cool. But to be honest with you, I don't know what the game's actually about or what the gameplay even is, because it was mostly cinematics, but it looked cool. So I'm definitely going to be more interested in seeing where that one goes in the future. Then they started talking about Elder Scrolls Online, which once again is, Elder Scrolls Online is not really a thing for me, but they showed a bunch of that, and they talked about some expansions called Dragonhold and Scalebreaker, which is, and they're more about the Elsewhere expansion that's out there now. That was the one I think they showed this big trailer for. Again, it looked cool, but again, not my thing. But there's going to be a lot of Elder Scrolls Online content coming if you're into that particular game. So there you go. Then they talked about Commander Keen, which is a much older game, and they acknowledged that originally came out, I think it was like on Amiga hardware and stuff. I don't remember, but it goes back quite a ways. And yeah, so they essentially are completely either coming up with a sequel or a remake or, you know, soft reboot, if you will, for that. But you know, that's definitely cool that they're doing that. The only thing that bothered me about that was I watched that trailer and it looked pretty cool at first, like the cutscene, the thing they put together, and then you get to the very end and realize it's another mobile game. If you watch my Xbox conference video, I'm not big on mobile games, or if you just know me in general, I'm not big on mobile games. So unfortunately, you kind of lose me there. Like, I would try that on maybe the Switch or something, but yeah, that wasn't specifically for me. But I respect the shit out of the fact that they brought back such an old and obscure IP. You get massive props for that one. Then they did a thing for Elder Scrolls Legends. I'm not gonna lie, I'm completely blanking on what exactly that was, so I don't really have anything else to say about it other than it's Elder Scrolls Legends. Speaking of Elder Scrolls, though, they did a lot of people were kind of hoping that they would show more of the next Elder Scrolls 6. They did not. They did acknowledge it once, just saying at the beginning of the whole thing when they were kind of talking about, hey, you know, we're all about caring about the community and stuff, and we just want to show you we're working on things. That was the only time they mentioned Elder Scrolls 6. It's very much in development thing, which makes sense. It's too early to show that. Then they showed some Rage 2 DLC, which was cool. I mean, that was predictable. I think I actually included that in my predictions video that I was pretty sure they were going to do that. So cool. Rage 2 is a perfectly decent game, so yeah, more content for it. Awesome. Great. Then they showed some stuff that was really cool. Wolfenstein, Cyberpilot, and Youngblood, which I believe Youngblood is the multiplayer one. So yeah, that stuff just looked great. Like, if you just like FPSs, Wolfenstein, there's just going to be more of it. And yeah, hell yeah, I'm totally on board with that. That looked great. Then they showed this game, this brand new IP, looked really cool, French developed game that looked very intriguing, and I want more information as it comes out. It was Deathloop. Deathloop, you know, the general consensus is I'm not entirely sure what that was, but it was awesome. And so, yeah, I talked to some people about that one. That was that and the Ghostwire game were like the two, to me anyway, like the surprise ones that were like intriguing because we didn't already know what they were, and they're games I would actually kind of be interested in checking out, as opposed to say Commander Keen, which, like I said, I respect that you brought it back, but the way you did it isn't really anything I'm interested in. Then they had this thing where they were talking about technology, and they were patting themselves on the back for things they have done in the past, and Bethesda certainly has earned that. And they were talking about, you know, the technology. We invented the FPS, and we did all this stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, now we're doing the next thing. We invented this thing called Orion. Now, they were very technical on this, but then they were trying to boil it down, basically say, like, Orion is going to be like a way to stream games faster. Once again, kind of hitting it with Microsoft was talking about getting rid of load times and trying to have a system in place that really functions. That where anybody, regardless of how good or bad their internet connection may be, can stream video games successfully and not have to have local hardware. Cloud gaming, unfortunately, I know a lot of the people who watch my channel will be on my page, on the same page as me on this, not wanting that, but it is the future. It's what's going to happen. So Orion, I don't think it's not meant to be an xCloud competitor. It's more like it's going to help ingratiate, and the two will be a functional ecosystem, because they specifically name dropped xCloud as somehow being compatible with it. So we'll see. But yeah, that's going to be a thing. And then the last thing that they talked about extensively was Doom Eternal, which we all knew was coming. They mentioned it right at the beginning and said, like, hey, stick around because that's going to be the thing we do at the end. Yeah, Doom Eternal looks fantastic. And then they had a playable demo of it after, which I wanted to do and I had every intention of doing. But the way that Bethesda set up that space, I would have had to wait there for hours in the heat, because right after you get out of the theater, there was like this open area for basically a bunch of free food, all the VIP party type of stuff, and that's where they set up the Doom Eternal like pavilion. But the line was just atrocious, and it was just like there was a line for everything, and it was just crowded, and it was just like, okay, I will talk to some people I know, some people I haven't seen in a while. I did the socializing thing, and then after that I was like, it's fine. But I wanted to play it, but one of my buddies kind of convinced me. He's like, that build is most likely a demo build meant to just make the game look hyper-focused good, and it's not an actual representation of what the game actually will be when you really have it. It's just a very small snippet of it, which makes sense. It's a demo. But, yeah, so I was like, maybe I'm just jaded. I don't know. But either way, don't get the wrong idea. I do want to play Doom Eternal. It does definitely look cool. And yeah, so overall, that was pretty much everything that happened there. It was a perfectly serviceable conference. I mean, the last year's conference, frankly, was better. But this year, at least, while it wasn't exactly full of surprises or anything like that, it did have a couple of new IPs that I thought were interesting. Because that's really the things that kind of I enjoyed the most, and seeing more of Doom, of course, was great. So yeah, I think that's about it. I think I actually forgot to say what I thought in general of the Xbox conference, so I'm just going to do that right now, in case you saw the first part. That it was a perfectly fine conference. It was, like I said, it was explosive, and it's going to have the pyrotechnics and all that stuff, and it had some cool surprises in it. Overall, like a decent conference. Not as great as I had been hoping, but maybe I've set the bar a little too high in my expectations. I don't know. I will say this about the Bethesda one, though. The Microsoft one was a fun environment to be in. It had a lot of energy to it. The Bethesda one, like, you ever go to a movie and like someone in the audience ruins the movie for you just by their very presence? That was a little bit how I was feeling at the Bethesda one, because like I had these two guys behind me who would not shut up, like, at all. Like, and we're not even talking like, yes, like, type of reactions to things. We're talking about like they're just having full-on conversations about things that have nothing to do with, like, dude, shut up. We're like watching a show. But stuff like that, and then a lot of people just screaming out like randomly, but at things that aren't actually interesting, like, I don't know. So the Bethesda conference, the environment was a little to me, but it's not their fault. It's just the experience I had. So yeah, that'll basically do it. Thank you very much for watching. If you could, please like, subscribe. I always appreciate that, and I hate that I'm getting used to saying that. I hate saying it, but I do appreciate it. So yeah, please do that. If you didn't see the other video, I just want to say please go watch that, but if you don't want to for whatever reason, announcements, a couple. Obviously, I'm here in Los Angeles for E3, and I will continue to be around, so if you see me at the convention center or whatever, please feel free to come up and say hey. I will be at Too Many Games in Philadelphia, same thing, go ahead, say hi. And I'll also be at the Missouri Game Con in St. Louis in August, so same deal there. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you to Bethesda for inviting me to your conference, and I'll see you all later.